You know who it is, everybody. I'm back once again with another video. Today I am doing my first sit down video that I think I've done since I don't think I've done a sit down video since I had Zahir, my son. If you are new here, feel free to go and check out my previous vlogs to get all caught up on what exactly I'm talking about. But if you want to start here, feel free, whatever. I just can't stop looking at like how pale I am, and I'm just not used to seeing myself with no makeup on camera. Anyway, I just wanted to come on here and just get this done so I can move on to my next video. Alright, so today we are discussing what's new with me. I'm giving you guys an update on my life. I haven't vlogged in a very long time, which is, if you've been here for a while, it's not new to you. I do go long stints without vlogging. Hopefully that changes soon. I do intend to put more effort into kind of mommy focused things, life things, stuff like that. My labor and delivery video has kind of taken off, so I thought it would be a good idea to come on here and let you guys know where I'm at since that video. That's really my last kind of vlog. Some of you may have noticed, if you follow me on Instagram, that I am no longer in Houston. A lot has changed. So, where do I even start? I gave birth. I was in Houston for a while, kind of back and forth between Houston and home, which is Maryland. I am from Maryland, so went back there a few times and eventually made the decision that the best thing for me to do was to move back to the East Coast. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I did not want to move back to the East Coast. I certainly did not want to move back to Maryland. I don't know what it is about Maryland. That's where I'm from, that's where I grew up, that's where my family is, or some of my family, my immediate family for the most part is. But for some reason, I just really hate is a strong word, but I don't like staying in Maryland. Like, even when I think about when I was in LA, I really, even when I went home, I was mostly in North Carolina, which is like where my parents are from. I rarely even spent time in Maryland. But it wasn't until this last move that I really, like, part of it I think is that when I go back home, it's usually reluctantly, and I usually feel like I'm going backwards. Like, I feel like anytime I leave, I feel like, oh, I'm doing something new. I'm moving on with my life. I'm moving up in life. Trying new things, getting out of my comfort zone. But anytime I have to come back to Maryland, or I choose to come back to Maryland for whatever reason, I always feel like I'm stepping backwards, and like somehow, not necessarily that I failed. Usually if I decided to come back to the East Coast, it's because I'm prepping for the next big move. Basically, I'm just trying to recharge and reset and move on to the next thing. I've done that a number of times in my life, but this time especially really felt like a failure. Like, I really felt like I really screwed things up this time. So yeah, I was really sad and depressed about having to make that decision of moving back to Maryland. It's not something I wanted to do. It's really more so something I had to do. I told myself in my head that it was mainly a financial thing. Like, I can no longer afford this apartment, at least not by myself. I wasn't working as much as I should have been. I wasn't hustling as hard as I had planned to when I got to Houston, but I was still making it work. But once I got pregnant, it's like all of that went out the window, so I just didn't feel secure in where I was financially at the time after I had Zahir. And after Big and I, obviously we're not together anymore. So after we were no longer together, I really felt like I can't do this by myself. And there were other reasons why I just really wanted to leave Houston. I'm not gonna get too much into that, but ultimately that's what I decided was best. Once I got to Maryland, I immediately started thinking, what am I doing? I can't stay here. Like, I'm going back to Houston. I'm not about to, no. I went to Houston with my mindset on, I'm going to make this work. So I have a baby, so I can still make this work. So by that point, I had put in a contract and everything to end my lease. So everything was in motion. And by the time I contacted my leasing office to say I changed my mind, they had already rented out my apartment. And that was really that was a blow. Like, that really, it pissed me off, but I just felt so like If you go back and watch my apartment tour video, you see like how excited I was pressed over this apartment. I love this apartment. This is like my new home. Like I was building my nest. I had accumulated all these things that I wanted for myself. Like I had my space to work, to live, to play. I loved Houston. I loved the energy of Houston. I loved the area I was living in. And I could really see myself settling down there. And that just being it for me, because I've moved around, I guess you could say quite a bit, probably compared to most people. But when I went to Houston, it was just like the perfect mix of everything for me. And having to let that go sucked. So yeah, if you go back and watch my video, like I loved my apartment. Like that was just my baby. Like I felt like, okay, now like it was just enough to, not even just enough, it was more than enough to like keep me inspired that like I can have anything I want. Because there was a time when I lived in LA in a studio apartment and I didn't see any way that I would ever be able to get into a 1-bedroom apartment. Now had I stayed in LA, there's no telling how I would have got it, but something told me to come back to the East Coast. Luckily it was right before COVID, so that was just meant to be. And then during COVID, somehow I just ended up deciding I'm moving to Houston randomly. I didn't know anyone there. I had never even been to Houston when I decided to move there. But I just went and I just found like the perfect apartment. Like I was excited about the apartment when I found it and when I applied and got it. But when I saw it, like I could still, I don't know if I had I'm pretty sure I vlogged it. Matter of fact, I did vlog it and it's in my vlogs. But I don't think you can really tell from the vlog like how I felt. Like I still remember the day pulling up to that apartment complex and just being like, this is even better than what I thought. Like it looks even better than online. Like the pictures didn't even really do it, just like being there. And I know part of it is the weather too. Like it was so sunny. I think I moved in, I'm watching my baby on the monitor by the way. I think I moved there in March. I think I moved there like the end of March and the weather was just perfect. It was a bright sunny day. I just pulled up to this complex that was just everything I wanted. It was in this nice like suburban area, so it was kind of out the way but not too out. Like I'm a homebody anyway. The price was right. I had money saved up. Like I was just in such a good place. And to come from there to suddenly having to move out of it and let it go and come back to Maryland. No shade to people in Maryland. This is like my own thing. And then moving back to Maryland, I realized I must have some kind of like trauma around Maryland. I don't know what it is exact. I can't figure it out. But something about Maryland I just don't like. Besides the terrible customer service, if you live in PG County, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you frequent fast food places or grocery stores or anything like it's I'm not even getting into that. People swear it's me, but I know it's not. Like I have never been anywhere else. I've lived in a few places, not a whole lot, but enough to know that like this is abnormally terrible customer service, and I'm sure it's only worse since COVID. Anywho, long story short, I don't like Maryland. Ironically, I had no problem staying in Maryland during COVID. Like that was like one of the best times of my life too, because it was like one of the rare opportunities I got to be back at home with my parents, with my siblings, with my grandma. Like there's nothing else would have brought us all together in that house for that long amount of time other than a quarantine. So that was just a very special time. But it also had points where it was like the most depressing time of my life because I had no idea what I was doing. I don't know if I talked about this, but actually I had. It's been so long, but I definitely vlogged about this a while ago. But all it took was like one YouTube video to pop off for me, which brought in a bunch of like job opportunities for me. I started making money. I was able to move to Houston. Like you couldn't tell me nothing. Okay, I was ready to take on the world. And I'm not gonna make it seem like, you know, my pregnancy or having a baby is what did this, because it's not. That's not the case. However, it was just my circumstances that basically led to me having to make the decision to leave. Ultimately, today, I know that was the best possible decision I could have made, and it's not just because of my finances, because I know I could have figured that out. You put me in a big city, it's too many ways to make money for me to not figure out how to pay my rent. Basically, there were other reasons why I needed to leave Houston, and there was just Houston is just not good for me right now. I'll put it that way. So, went to Maryland, sad, depressed, beat down emotionally. And it was tough. Now, mind you, this is like, my baby's like 3 or 4 months at this point. So I'm still pretty much a new mom. I'm a newly single mom. And I'm just feeling like trash. Like, like how did I end up back here? Like, I feel like I'm completely starting over. I'm broker. Honestly, I'm broker than I've ever been in my life. I mean, you know, beyond in my adult life, I'm probably the brokest I've ever been. Honestly, the only bright spot I felt in the moment was having Zahir, like my baby. Like, just looking at him, smiling, and just like no worries in the world. It's like, okay, it's not that bad. My baby's good. I'm good. I can figure this out and get back to where I was. But yeah, I was just really sad and depressed about having to come back home. Not to mention it's embarrassing. I don't want to answer questions about why. Now, granted, I do feel like people have pretty much respected, like no one's really asked me what happened or why are you back or anything like that. My immediate family knows, but everyone else is just like, oh, you're back, and it is what it is, which thank you. You know, feeling embarrassed that I've got myself in a situation where it's just not ideal. Like, in my mind, I thought I was going to have this baby, we was going to have a family, and we were going to grow together, and la da da da. Everything was going to be perfect, and obviously that's not what's going to happen. It's just so weird because I knew that this happens. And it's not even that I didn't think it could ever happen to me, because I know in any relationship, you never know after you have a child what's going to happen. You can't guarantee that you're going to have that nuclear... You can't guarantee that you're going to have this this ideal nuclear family for your child. Like, there's never any guarantee with any relationship. But I guess because it happened so quickly and like so soon after giving birth, it just kind of threw me into a little bit of a tailspin. Like, what is going on right now? Like, how is this happening? I will say I'm glad that it happened when it did, because I know for a lot of women it usually happens during their pregnancy, and that was not the time for me to have to deal with none of this. So I'm glad, like, I got through that. I pretty, by the skin of my teeth, got through the 4th trimester without having to deal with this. And honestly, as it always does, everything just kind of fell into place. Doesn't mean I'm in a great, ideal spot right now, but I know that it could be so much worse. Even financially, although I say this is the brokest I've ever been, the way that things worked out for me when they did, like, I was financially able to break my lease. I was financially able to move, although I had to leave a lot of stuff. I had to sell a lot of stuff, and that like broke my heart, having to basically give away so much of my baby's brand new things that were gifted to him. Speaking of my baby, I'll be back. And now, of course, my camera has died, both batteries are dead, and my sound is dead. So I had to switch cameras, and I'm probably going to lose my sound soon, so get ready for echo. Anyway, so yeah, I had to get rid of a lot of the baby's things, which is really sad because it just financially didn't make sense to pay to have all that stuff shipped. I'm still mad about that. But yeah, I had to let a lot of stuff go and basically kind of start over. Like, I was able to get a good amount of his things. Like, really his things were like most important to me, so I made sure I was able to get that. I basically just put it in my car and had my car shipped. But as far as a lot of his stuff, I just had to let go of, which really made me sad, because it's like I had this like vision of basically raising my baby in this space with all these things that my family and friends were willing to give to him, and to have to let go of all of that was just like really, it was really hurtful. Moved back home to Maryland, and you know, I love being able to be with my family. I like that Zahir is able to be around my family, because that is one thing I really wanted for him. And I knew, like, being in Houston, I don't have any family there. I don't really know a whole lot of people, so I didn't really have a village for him in Houston yet. So it was nice to be able to move back home. But I quickly realized like I was starting to feel like a burden, even though I guess because I had never been in a position to where I really had to ask for anything. And even just like asking, can you watch him while I use the bathroom? Can you watch him while I take a shower? I just felt like I was burdening my family. And I think that's when I started to realize like what it really is to be a single mom. I know it's hard. I know there are struggles, but I never had to obviously think about it because I've never been a single mom. Even though my parents divorced, like they were still both very much in my life. So it was just like I started to realize things that I had never even thought about or considered were going to be a thing. So yeah, feeling like a burden to people, even though like it wasn't anything they were doing, it was just the fact that it's just a lot easier when you have another person who you know went half on this baby, where you could just say, here, take him, and not feel like it's his responsibility too. So it's like nothing to hand my child off to his dad, whereas putting him on anyone else feels like I'm burdening them with something that, a responsibility I chose for myself. I just don't like that feeling. Another thing that really like made me realize like, dang, I'm a single mother for real. My cousin and his girlfriend, who also had a baby, I think a month before me, they're in Maryland, so they wanted to link up. So we went to, or they wanted to go to a pumpkin patch. And I had already been looking into a pumpkin patch. This was around Halloween, obviously, October. And I had already looked into pumpkin patches because, you know, it was an idea in my head, like I'll take them to a pumpkin patch. We could take pictures, it'd be really cute, blah, blah, blah. But the idea kind of came and went, and then they brought it up, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. I'll have somebody to go with. He'll have his cousin there. Like, it'll be cute. But as the day got closer, now mind you, I think they only mentioned like maybe a couple days before the weekend or something. It hadn't been that long. But like I was just picturing myself being there and having a new baby, being a first time mom. Like anytime I leave the house, there's always this realization like, oh, I have a baby, so I can't just like get ready and go. Like my usual get ready routine is like drastically different. There are a lot of things I have to consider, like how he's gonna eat. Do I want to pump and make sure he has a bottle ready, or do I just want to figure out breastfeeding there? Do I need a stroller? Am I gonna carry him? What is he gonna like? There's just so many things that I'm not used to having to deal with. And then the added fact that I'm doing it all by myself. And the added fact that I'm going with a couple and I'm going to be the single mom. Not that I would feel like a third wheel, because I don't feel like that with them. But I think it was just a reminder of what my situation was. And that was just like another like, oh, this is what I'm dealing with, which in the grand scheme of things are like minor, but it's always like I always have the big picture of what the worst case scenario is, but it's always the minor things that really get me, like the little stuff like that, like oh I don't like have anyone to help me with this who's pretty much obligated to help me with this. It's just me. So yeah, that was hard. But like I said, I am grateful that at the very least I had help through my pregnancy. Because I couldn't imagine, like, I cannot imagine what women go through having the father there and then suddenly, like, y'all aren't together and you're kind of on your own. Even with the father, like, kind of being, like, once you're single and you're not together, it's just a different dynamic. It's just it's not the same. But yeah, so I kind of went through that period. I will say, like, in the grand, considering all that has happened, I feel like I've been rolling with the punches pretty well. Like, I still haven't been as depressed as I was, like, during COVID at one point. Like, I still feel better than that. But there were times where I just it's usually, like, at night when I just have too much time to just sit and think by myself, where I get kind of down in the dumps about the whole situation. But, like I said, Zahir is definitely a light amongst all this craziness and change that I'm going through, but also just knowing that I can get through it. Now, I have had the realization that, I've always had the attitude of like, I'm gonna be good no matter what. I have a great support system. I know how to take care of myself. I know how to go out here and get what I need to get. But I do think that this situation is different and did humble me in a way, because I realized and I think a big part of it is just me being older and realizing like, you aren't guaranteed any of this. Like, you're not guaranteed the support. You don't know that the people, like your family, is always going to be there to help you or always going to be able to help you. Things could change at any moment. As I get older, I want to be in a position to where I'm not the one that needs to be bailed out or that needs to be helped. I want to do the bailing out. I want to do the helping. I want to make sure I'm in a place where I'm not only good myself, but if anyone who I love that's around me needs help, I can help them. If Zahir needs anything, I'm in a position to where even if I don't have it, I can make it happen. And having that realization, it's like, I gotta get on my stuff. Like, I'm not like footloose and fancy free like I used to be. Like, I have a child now, which was a given, but like I said, like, everything just changed so fast this past year. Really, I just didn't see it coming the way it came. I'll put it that way. But one thing about me, when I see stuff is not working out, I'm against the getting. I'm not wasting any time. Once things are not looking good, it's time to, once it's clear that there's nothing I can do to make this work, it's time to go. So that's what I did. With that being said, I am currently in North Carolina. I've moved down here. I am in North Carolina now with my mom, and I felt better about being in North Carolina. Whatever like the trauma is with Maryland that I have, I don't have it with here. However, I think just because I don't know what my next step is, it still felt like a step way back, because it's like, I know, like, I'm legit living here now, and I never saw that for myself. The area of North Carolina that I'm in, I never saw for myself. Way like years ago, I thought like, at some point when I'm done, trying out different places and I'm establishing my career enough, I want to get a nice big house in North Carolina. Since then, I've kind of let that go for whatever reason. Like, I actually forgot that I felt that way until having to move here this time around. But yeah, that wasn't a thought in my mind. Once I was in Houston, I was like, I think this might be it for me. So having to not only move back to the East Coast, but ending up out here in the country, I did not foresee this. And I wasn't exactly thrilled about it, but I do feel better about being here than Maryland for some reason. But this is temporary. Like, I don't know if North Carolina, I don't know where I'm about to live. Like, I don't know what the goal is. The difficulty I have now is like determining what's best for Zahir and also what's best for me, just as far as like being happy with where I am, because that matters too. But after like stressing about that, I realized like I just have to do what I've been doing really and just go with the flow, and it'll come to me eventually. If like the thought of moving back to Houston has crossed my mind quite a few times, at this point I'm not sure that's gonna be a good idea for me. Maybe one day, I don't know, but I got time to figure it out. I figure I have at least like about 5 years before he goes to school, because I do want to make sure he goes to a good school. I don't know what's in store for me. I don't know what's ahead, but I'm just trying to figure that out, where I want to be, how I'm gonna get there, things like that. So my plan is to give myself a year here at my mom's, get my money together, get my finances together, pay off my debts, get back to taking care of myself too. Once I got pregnant, it's like all the self-care just went out the window. If you watch my old vlogs, like right before I moved to Houston, I was talking about how I'm going to do better. I'm going to take better care of myself. Not that I been doing terribly, but just like little things that I wanted to do to make myself feel better. Honestly, if I could just get my feet back smooth and moisturized and get at least rid of my mustache, I will be happy. So that's another goal of mine, is to get back into carving out time for myself. Also, I want to get back to working out. I do feel like everything that's happening, even though it feels like it's working against me, is really working for me. It's just obvious to me that everything is working in my favor. I just have to stop, not stop, because I'm not fighting it, but I just have to not fight it. I just have to not worry so much. Just do what I need to do in the moment and trust that everything is going to work out. Well, it's been working out my whole life. So I'll leave y'all with that. Even though I feel like I'm starting over, I'm never starting over from scratch, because I'm always coming with new lessons learned, new wisdom, new skills. Like, I can figure this out. I'm not asking for anything worse than this, but I can handle this. Like, I got this. And let me add too that mommyhood so far has been pretty, I'm not gonna say it's a breeze, but it's been pretty easy. But I also understand why, like, all the ways people struggle, because I do recognize I have a very unique situation where I am able to be home with my child. At least, let me not say at least right now, I'm going home with my child. But most people don't have that, and it's wild. It's wild out here. I don't know how y'all been doing, like having babies, getting pregnant, getting through the first trimester, baby daddy start acting up, he ain't around no more, you gotta go to work and raise a kid. I don't know how y'all are doing this. Anyway, I think that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully this wasn't too much of a rambler. If you found this interesting or whatever, I don't know, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment box below. If I'm whispering, I'm sorry, but I'm trying not to wake up my baby. Of course, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you don't miss my next video. I definitely have a lot more coming. I plan on getting my body snatched so I can show y'all how to do it too. Yeah, so stick around for that. Make sure you hit that notifications bell, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
But she's wondering if it's gonna feel like she's forever. Wondering if it's gonna feel like this whenever she leaves her safe space. She leaves her safe space. Wondering if it is forever, or is there some place that will make her feel better? Make her feel better. Then that's where she'll go.